So we've got a question here from Xander. Where's Xander? Hello, Xander.
Do you think young people are woke, or are they just being kind?
Interesting. So this is obviously in reference to Samantha Price, is the headmistress of a school in Kent, also the president of the Girls' School Association, and she has criticised adults who mock young people for being woke snowflakes simply because they embrace causes such as Black Lives Matter, identity politics, or the Me Too movement. I mean, I have some sympathy with that insofar as, you know, I don't call people snowflakes. I don't use woke as a pejorative. I use it as a descriptive. You know, and I think, in a sense, we're not helping if you write off whole generations. I've said this before, and I think this is true. But I question this, actually, because I think a lot of young people aren't necessarily supportive of these causes. I think a lot of young people are a bit more critical of this stuff. Yes. That's my experience.
No, I think you're right. I think because of the language has changed, so like the critical race theory and the gender, the transgender argument are actually not really about those things.
Yeah.
Then people are going to be cruel because they've twisted it to suit their own narrative. Whereas back in the old days when we were against racism, it was literally the colour of somebody's skin.
Yeah.
That's what people were protesting about, or gay rights. You know, whereas now there's a different agenda. So that's why I think people get confused with it.
It's really difficult. I mean, it's interesting the way you phrased that, Sandra, in terms of the question, is that because I think a lot of people who do claim to be woke and do claim to be on the side of these causes do think they're being nice. I think they do. I think a lot of it can come from a good place. Not all of it, because I've seen some pretty vicious bullying coming from the woke movement, but sometimes it can come from a nice place. So does that make it complicated, Nick?
It does, but I have the answer as usual. By the way, cool question. Thanks for the question, Andy. Cool name as well. I haven't heard that name since Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Do you remember? See, they get that reference. Finally, one of my references.
I've never seen that. Were you named after the character from Buffy?
Yes, I was. Oh,
there we go. Yes.
So, amazing.
Have you ever seen The Lawnmower Man? Doesn't matter. Good film. So
it's not a good.
It's actually not. It's scary. But I can answer the question now for you, which I'll now do. That's me stalling for time. What happened is a head teacher said young people. It's just wokeness is just a different generation. That was the claim.
Right.
So it's a false claim. So I've chatted to the lads in my football team, which is where I speak to normal people, and I've noticed from them they talk about their normal jobs where they've got diversity and inclusion officer type people, and they say, tell you what, I'm just going to leave it to the young people because they know about this thing, and I don't. That is a false claim in my opinion. So this idea that young people, it's just generational, is wrong. Like Andrew said, lots of young people don't go with it. On TikTok, the humour is incredibly brutal and offensive. So it's not like, oh, with Snapchat we don't understand. I think wokeness is quite a sinister thing. It sort of reminds me of what Hitler allegedly said when he said, give me the child at 7 and he's mine forever. I don't know if he definitely said it, but actually getting to the young people with wokeness, I think it's a bit sinister, and it's not a generational thing. Some things, we're just too old to understand, but this is not in that category.
Can we clip Nick quoting Hitler?
Well, someone's going to.
Someone's going to do that.
Someone's going to put that out.
This reminds me of my hero.
We'll just dub that bit in before, and then we'll get a nice viral clip out of that. Well, that's a very interesting question. So, I think generally speaking, I mean, my view on that would be that I think it is misjudged to assume that a whole generation thinks one particular way. And I wouldn't write off young people at all on this question. I think they're alert to authoritarianism a bit more than we think.
Yes, I think so.
The Z seems to be a bit better than the millennials.
They do.